Right, sorry. This is part two. I got disconnected. I thought there was an extra hour that I've been talking for an hour, and that whole hour was gone because of the bloody internet. So I have to start again. Part two. Well, there's someone already here though. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to last left off. So there's an hour that I've got to speak. I don't want to do it for an hour. So it seems that where I was when I was last speaking, part two, from the last live stream, I was just saying that when in the morning, oh god, I have to go through all of that again. Basically, this is so tiring. It's tiring just talking about it. Oh, gotta do all of that again. So tired. Sorry, I'm just so tired. In the morning of the Friday, just gone. So the Sergeant Elms had so I was saying about Sergeant Elms, and he said to my partner, this is not Guantanamo Bay, and we've had people undo their shoelaces with the handcuffs on. And I told them, I've been to Auschwitz, and I've seen. Yeah, I made a mild comparison because Sussex Police and Sussex Police and Sussex Partnership. The whole thing is just orchestrated. But in the morning, this Cara, the CA who had said on the intercom, told me to shut up and hung up on me. At some point, I was told, would you like to speak to a solicitor? And I'm just making sure it's still connected. She said, do you want to see a solicitor? Do you want to speak to a solicitor? And I would like someone to actually say about if you think that I might be wrong about if you think that a member of the bar, do you think a solicitor can be a member of the bar association? Because Andy Devine said they have to be a member of the bar association, but people are saying to me, no, that's barristers and magistrates. So I said to this woman on the intercom, I said, this solicitor, even if she was a real practicing solicitor, the way she spoke to me was still part of the same reverse psychology that they use, because she was still rude to me, and she said, we're going around in circles before hanging up on me, because I was very polite and I said, I only want to speak to someone that's actually a member of the bar association. And she said, no, that's just barristers and whatnot. And I said, I was very polite. I just said, well, I don't want to. Well, we're going round in circles. And she hung up. Now, this is what Sussex Partnership have done. This is what the local government ombudsman have done. This is part of the MK Ultra thing. Or call a spade a spade. It's part of this programming that they use on me, because I've had that phrase from so many individuals. It's like talking to robots that are programmed. We're going around in circles. I mean, it's like, a normal human being wouldn't use that phrase anyway. And if anyone wants to disagree with me, well, you tell me how many people have used that phrase with you before cutting you off and hanging up, because I have had it more times than in just capacities that just doesn't make sense. Like, for example, I will repeat myself, like the presidents and the prime ministers do, repetition for emphasis. I had been for hours on the phone to the local government ombudsman and a social worker just days after the local MP, Caroline Ansell, has perjured herself in emails to me, because I had a reference and I was waiting for the council to get back to me with that reference, with those complaints after a week. I can't remember what the reference was because I've got so much paperwork, so much clutter coming out of my ears when I already have a hoarding clutter problem, which they like to add to with all their crap. Excuse my French. And basically, in October last year, when I was beaten by those emergency workers and trafficked onto the section 136, by the way, they too were ignoring me in the same way that I had been ignored this time round as part of the PSYOPs. I had a reference with the local. I ran when on that 136, I was all bruised and people had pinned me to the bed and snatched my phone while I was on the phone to my partner Darren, and even Steve Churchill from the food bank. They wouldn't tell him where I was because they thought I was playing my partner, but it's like they were trying to disappear me. And I rang the local government ombudsman about my reference, and I got that same phrase, and I was hung up on. It's like someone had told them, do not speak to this person. There is no reference. I've just told you there is no reference. We're going around in circles. Goodbye. How can that be normal? It's all part of the PSYOPs and the shutting down of a targeted individual. Call a spade a spade. So this solicitor that they put me on the intercom to, I asked, so there was just no need for her to be rude. So even if she was right and I was wrong, and so was Andy, about solicitors being members of the Bar Association, she didn't have to be rude and say we're going round in circles and hang up on me, but she did. And I rang the intercom and I said, what is this person's name and what firm do they work for? They wouldn't tell me. They just said Jade and hung up. So just like them, saying we're not giving you your rights and everything. Well, anyway, there we are. So yeah, the intercom buzzer was. I don't know whereabouts. What I haven't mentioned already because the live stream, the previous one, cut out. But throughout the night, I was pointing to the camera and the buzzer, pointing to both to say, they're not giving me water, or they're not giving me my phone, or they're ignoring the buzzer. So this Cara in the morning, the CA, the custody assistant who told me to shut up and hung up on me, she was the one who asked me what cereal and drink I'd like. I said cornflakes, and I told her what. And she went to bring it to me. And I said, I was putting my foot down, and I said, I'm not going until I've finished my call to my partner. So, sorry, I'm just so tired. I spoke for a whole hour and it was disconnected. Bloody thing. I just want to get this off my chest. So this Cara gave me the she said, right, you're not she took the cereal and the hot drink that she brought me. She said, right, well, you're not having it then. So it's endless abuse. So I had no breakfast because I was demanding that I finish my call to my partner. So I just let them get on with it, you know. So in the morning, by the way, I don't know if you heard it in the last one, but Sergeant Elms was trying to see me. She said that Sergeant Elms would see me about Darren, and she said, like, as if we were two naughty children, you know, you're not going to speak to him again because he gets funny or something. I don't know. It's all they're brainwashed. And what I said before was, the Nazis, when they were being brainwashed, they were very young. They recruited young people, order followers, and they could not say at the Nuremberg trials, "Sir, I was just following orders," because some of them were hanged for their crimes. And you're under an oath. You're whether you are complicit in those crimes, whether you're doing them to someone else, you do this new age bullshit, excuse my French, of you take responsibility for yourself, leave things in the past. I can't stand all this Buddhism stuff, but it's like, leave things in the past. You have to take responsibility for yourself under the sovereignty, human rights, because when you stand before the great throne of judgment, there'll be no one else there. No, you'll be on your own. You will face that on your own. You will answer for yourself to the one true highest sovereignty. Sovereign master, not the master of this world. Yeah. So anyway, so I want to get to the point, because I do. So because I don't know where I finished off on that last video, but basically I sat on the floor. I was lying on the floor, and like thought because they just do nothing basically. You know, it's like there aren't enough police officers out there to patrol the streets, apparently, yet, to tackle crime. No, because they're too busy picking on 71-year-old women, putting stickers in windows. That's dangerous. There's a 71-year-old woman putting stickers in shop windows. We must protect our children. The whole group of them must throw her to the ground, like they did up in Manchester. And yet, you know, we've got all these murderers that are having a nice cushy time, and these. You know, you see my last live stream where I've been attacked and by a drunken tenant, blood on the door. We can't do anything about that. Nah, even though it's happened several times, even though the tenant, when I first was, after my traumatic experience in November, a few days after moving in last year, after I was beaten by these thugs that have got me on this fraud that I'm speaking to you about now, they are the ones, two of whom turned up in November after this demented Aisha attacked me whilst I was in the bath, wood chippings in the carpet. It was like a scene from The Shining horror where she'd kicked in the toilet door in the bathroom. And I ran into my room dripping wet with I was so terrified I was going to run. I tried to climb out of my window with the towel falling off. I was willing to run out into the street naked, shouting for help. I thought this individual was going to kill me. And PC Austin turned up with PC Broadway, two of the thugs who beat me on Beachy Head, who got me in this fraud. And PC Austin found it amusing, and I was shaking. I said, "Oh, you find it funny, do you?" I tell you that I've never known such psychopathic, sick cowards. And what was I going to say? As I said, I don't know if you got this in the last live stream, but I'm going to say it again if I haven't already said it. In 2010, I had an attempted rape, and I'm just making a comparison here. I just want to throw this in, and I think it was in early 2011 or late 2010 that I went to Hove Crown Court to put this individual on a sex offenders register for 10 years and 2 years in prison. And I was laughing about that. Do you know something? I got excited on the video link up for that, because I handled it on my own and I realised how tough I was. But what Sussex police have done to me, I'm traumatised for life. You might not see it because I've seen the funny side, and I have Abiy Ahmed to thank for that. But I honestly, what the police have done to me, what they've put me through, everything, losing these accommodations, the number of times I've been put in a police cell, you could not. This is why people aren't waking up. They're not listening. They're not hearing. They're not anything. They're just not. I said something really important about my GP. It's really important. In fact, I'm going to just write that down. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and what he said. Because he's Scottish, and he wouldn't let me put up a bad review about the doctor's surgery, because on the Friday, the 25th of September, I didn't get out to get my sleeping medication because I was that ill. And this is the lighthouse practice in Eastbourne. You know, Dr. Caro, who's one of the managers of the lighthouse practice, has said on his website, I help people in all aspects and areas of their health. And I said to that horrible Aggie, does that include people who have been attacked in their own council accommodation? Because he stopped me from writing a poor review about the surgery, saying Freemasons, Satanists. If you put that, we'll be having words. We would really want to be having words. I've never heard of this organisation. Really, you took a Hippocratic oath. You take oaths. Police officers take oaths. You take the Hippocratic oath. You take an oath of the Freemason. That's what you people are. That these people are made up of. All the usually professional people. And what it's like, you know, was he born yesterday? And he's Scottish. It's Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And what's offensive anyway? Because on GMTV, you've got a Satanist saying, I want Satanism to be recognised as a religion. So what am I saying that's offensive? Freemasons bracket Satanists. The Freemasons practice the oldest religion in the world. The occultism, look into go down all the rabbit holes that I've been through. I was a brownie guide, and I did the Freemason initiation into the brownie girl, guys. I was blindfolded. I did the witchcraft circle. I did the Masonic hand gesture, and I didn't realise that what I was doing was occultic because I was an innocent child. But I now know. I know about the wise owl. I know about all of that. Anyway, I know an awful lot now. And as that social worker, landlords, and I realise now that was probably a threat The social worker landlord who said to me, "You know too much. My mother was dying of cancer." What did you mean, Andy, when you said, "I know too much"? And your brother saying, your brother, the support worker, "What the fuck were you doing up on Beachy Head drunk?" Knowing that I don't drink. My mother was dying of cancer. And I said nothing to these scumbags. Anyway, so I've gone totally off topic there because I just get very passionate and angry about these things. But anyway, so I was sat on the cell floor in the morning. This CA assistant. Did I mention that the last time I was in the cell, one of them referred to my partner as effing barking as I am, because before passing the phone over to me with my partner, they and did I say about, did you get the bit about Andy Devine? Oh, you know, they wouldn't let me speak to him, and they said, oh, when I said he's my brother, and then they changed their mind. Oh, because they wanted to know who he was, because they know who Darren is, because they know that I'm vulnerable, you see. They know that I've only got Darren. So they're weaponising all of my honesty, like, who's Andy Devine? But they said that his number didn't work, and yet it did work the last time I was in there, because they handed me the phone. And I said it does work, because he's since, I've since texted him again, before and after this torture, fraudulent torture, and he's replied to me in text, because they were gaslighting me to make me think, well, he's probably changed his number then. No, the same number I'm telling you to look up, they were blocking me. They must know, because he was John Patterson's power of attorney, and he speaks to the police anyway. So there we go. So yeah, because he knows that the police are watching him when he does his videos. So that would have to be Sussex Police, because they are the ones that Matt Taylor and John Patterson have specifically exposed. One of the most corrupt forces that steals people's farms to grow and import illegal hardcore drugs. And whilst the Nazis are doing all of this to us innocent people, they're as Andy told me, the CPS and the police are working with the courts to steal people's children and people's homes and people's livelihoods all out the world over. So anyway, yes, so I sat on I've gone off on a bit of a tangent here, but as I often do, but I'm trying to stick to the point because I'm quite tired. In the morning, so this Cara didn't want to, you're going to take this cereal and this tea. She took it. So I didn't have my breakfast because I've sat on the floor demanding that I finish my call with my partner because I kept terminating it. Sorry, I know this is really irritating, but did I mention that one of the CA assistants, because they kept switching off the intercom, they turned it on one time just to wind me up, talking about me. What does she suffer with? And then they, and I just wound them up whilst they turned it, and then they switched it off again. So this is what they do as part of their psyops. So when they had the buzzer off ignoring me, and I was just pointing to the camera and, and the intercom to show that they were ignoring me. I don't know if the camera picks up sound or not. But this is what they were doing. And what was I going to say? Yeah, so when they were ignoring me, when the intercom was on, when the intercom went off, or the light was on, but they weren't working it, they weren't answering it, I went to use the loo. And when you know how it is in the cell, when you use the loo, you don't want I always have the blanket over me because I want them to see everything. But when you get off the loo, you don't want anyone to see your bits and pieces. So, which is a bit hard to hold a blanket up and pull up your trousers and bits. And even though they were ignoring the intercom, the CA, the one who said, "Oh, my children are at university and you watch too much TV," university brainwashing school. Yeah, your children are going to have to pay back thousands, is it, just to be robots? Yeah, to be brainwashed. Anyway, so he turns up to open the slot to look in at me, and I'm like, "You pervert," because I was pulling my trousers up. So they were ignoring the intercom, and he comes and looks in when they're just disgusting. I've had cell doors slammed in my face before, just when I've said to them, "Do you have children?" Vom! And when that cell door slams in your face, I mean, one time I'm going to be a little bit, don't want to be graphic, but they don't give you soap. You don't have soap. You don't have. Well, I had the toilet paper thrown at me when I went in. There was nothing in there. They made sure there was nothing in there. In the same way, they deliberately had the mat on the floor so that they could throw me to it. They had it all planned. It was all staged. These actors and actresses had staged all this torture. If she does this, do that. See, already I'm on to you guys. We're going to have the mat there, not on the platform, on the floor, so that we can throw her to the floor if she gets funny. We're going to take this from her. We're going to do that to her. We're going to do that to her. Get ready if she gets angry, and we'll wind her up. We'll give her the psyops so that when she gets angry, boom. That's how it's all staged. So basically, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, I forgot what I was saying now. The intercom. Yeah, so the CA the custody assistant who looked in when I was putting my trousers up and I said, "Oh, you pervert." Yeah, he goes away, and so they're ignoring the intercom, and that's happened. There was something I knew there was something I really wanted to say. Sorry. The last time not the last time, ages ago, it might have even been a year or two ago, because they've done this to me so many times I can't keep track of. I at some point, maybe a year, 2 years ago, whenever, I was in the cell when I asked for soap, because without wanting to be graphic, I had defecated, and and I didn't want to touch the food when they were giving it to me. So they don't put soap in this. I said, "Could I have soap to wash my hands, please? Because I don't want to touch the food." They said, "You take this food, or we're not giving it to you." I said, I can't touch it. So I had my fingers where, the slot, the shutter is, and they took the food, slammed the shutter down. I said, "You could have had my fingers off." And I pressed the buzzer and I said, "What's the name of the person who just did that?" They're not going to give you anything. In the same way that solicitor that I asked for isn't going to. When I asked if she was a member of the Bar Association, she didn't have to be rude. When I said, "I'm not happy to have you unless you're a member of the Bar Association," she didn't have to say, "We're going round in circles and hanging up on me." That for me is enough to say something's not right here anyway. And then them not giving me her name and the firm that saying that her name is Jade, is not saying giving me her full name and the firm she works for. That is not giving me her details. But they've breached GDPR, which I could sue libel for by putting my full details, my name, my age, where I live in the Eastbourne Herald on a fraud where I am the victim of their beating. 25 years each, malfeasance of office, because even in a counterfeit court, PC Soper, PC Austin, and PC Broadway have perjured themselves. So, yeah. So, anyway, in the morning, I refused to leave. I sat on the cell floor and I said, I'm not leaving without speaking to my partner, because you only get a 5-minute call, and Darren was trying to take down all the details of the ongoing abuse throughout the night. He's struggling with his mental health. He cannot cope with it at all. So I was very alone. Let me tell you that throughout the whole 24 hours from the Thursday to the Friday, I was non-stop praying hard, Abba Yahweh, hallelujah, that I can laugh and speak to you the way I am now. Because if I didn't have my partner, if I was completely, even then, my gosh, the number of times I stabbed myself through the arm with a 6-inch knife that went straight through. I know I probably keep repeating this, but I'm blessed that I haven't, hallelujah, that I have not ended up with you see the scar of the stitch. It went right through. I scrubbed so hard with the exfoliating gloves because I'm very blessed. That's why you can't see the scar, because I've been exfoliating it, but it went right through. And that is how you can release demons. Apparently, I found that out somewhere on the internet, no doubt, that piercing the skin like that can, if it's done in a satanic way, I'm not talking about our Saviour, Yeshua HaMashiach, but what I'm trying to say here is I did that in December 2018, after, in June of that year, when I was reported missing in the local Herald and the police dragged me backwards in handcuffs and pushed me. PC Curtis and PC Arthur Davini Jr., thugs. This was out of the tourist information desk in Eastbourne. They knew me in there, the Eastbourne People's Assembly. They all know me. Just there is a stronghold for Freemasonry. If you look up the Trussell Trust, 99% of charities are Illuminati based. The Trussell Trust is, and you are either brainwashed or you're not. You are either brainwashed or you're not. You either know this or you don't. When I first heard about food banks, I thought to myself, crumbs, people, working families going to food banks in a rich country. And the Eastbourne Food Bank is known as the Eastbourne Trussell Trust. And if you look up the Facebook page for survivors of the Linwood Saffron, which I am a survivor of, in 2015, the council knew that 2 heavily pregnant women who bullied me were dealing drugs to one of the night porters, and that's what I'm going to say on that. And but that was in 2017. 2 years earlier, there's a petition saying that disabled people and vulnerable people are being bullied and made homeless by the staff there. And the Trussell Trust, Illuminati, Eastbourne knew about this. And Leslie Alloway and Ray Alloway, who are good people who really helped me from the Eastbourne Food Bank, really helped me. Leslie needs to understand, because she turned funny towards me. And yet these are loving, good people. She thinks Freemasons are Christians. Well, Christians are pagans in the church, the churchiness we're talking about. You know, many rooms in the house of deception here. The world's oldest religion. Go down the rabbit holes, do the research of these occultists and what they're doing. Because, you know, there's Leslie saying to me, I will tell, if you jump off Beachy Head, I'll tell the coroner you didn't get the help you needed. They are living in their own bubbles, all these people, and they don't realise it. And it's not always their own fault. But I'm learning for myself. That social worker landlord said to me, I was a young person. I've had 25 years trying to get help since I was 14. And with my mental health. And yet I've had trauma my entire life since I was a baby. But that's part of the intergenerational brainwashing, you see. That's part of the MK Ultra. It's intergenerational. Anyway, so, you know, I was discriminated in and tortured in every way you can think of, except in the most obvious ways. It's usually the most subtle ways, but it won't be seen to the eye. So there I was walking around as Princess Diana all these years, and then you finally lose it in your late 20s or early 30s is the breaking point. And I do truly believe that I could possibly be an official, you know what, victim of the official, but I call a spade a spade. I'm a targeted individual in the way that I speak the truth that I know. I don't know all the facts, and this is how it is. Sorry, I know I'm taking the long way round this, but I get to the point. So I'm sat on the floor saying I won't leave the police cell. Then they bring in one of the actors and actresses. Excuse me. Oh, I've seen you before, Bryony, and I don't know what role she was. They don't usually like to show their badge. They don't like to turn their lanyards round anyway, don't they? They've always done that. Then they bring in another actor, someone from the NHS, and I already know how that they're set up, because one time that I was there, Sergeant Mackay grabbed me and threw me out. He came out from nowhere. Do you know why? Because there were a group of mental health people with their mouth masks on saying, how are you feeling, Bryony? What's your state of mental health? And I said to them, if I tell you that I'm feeling suicidal, bingo, you will have me sectioned and I will lose my accommodation. Then from nowhere, Sergeant Mackay I don't think I've ever met him before. He grabs me, frog marches me out, literally throws me out. So yeah, you know, when they say be careful what you say because it will be on camera, if you don't want to be sectioned, there's me being brutally honest. This is where I've got to get it into my head. They are not there to help you. I already know that. But because I'm still in that sort of red pill, blue pill, like I've totally taken the red pill, and yet, well, these people are there to help you, you know, 1950s sort of programming of, well, you know, these people are there to help you, you know. I don't know. I think I'm like my mother. I'm also like my mother. I didn't say this in the last video didn't pick this up, but I have a strange resilience like my mother. My mother was a child in the 1940s. I was a child in the 80s, 90s, and we were able to laugh about, you know what I said about the attempted rape. I can laugh off the sexual stuff, the sexual crimes. That was nothing in comparison to what Sussex police have done to me. Nothing. And in the same way, you know, because I was, women, I mean, bouncers have said that women are more scary than men. You know, they drink men under the table. You know what Britain's like, broken Britain is like. My mum's American friend came over here. She's so shocked she couldn't believe, like, is this what people do on a night out? Young people? You know, my mother's American friend who married into the mafia, by the way, she was there when my mother had an illegal abortion by a male prostitute in 1958, and a cop took her to Pennsylvania. And it's like, you know, my mum had such an amazing life. She's not here anymore. If she knew what I was going through, though, this torture on my own. You know, we were strange children because we were able to laugh off being touched up as children. I don't know how many children are able to do that, but there are a lot of women that don't report rape, and those women really annoy me. They really do, because, you know, don't just do it for yourself, do it for all the others, you know. But I was able to, my mother and I weren't raped or anything as children, but we were, you know, we had a hand up the skirt and whatnot, a hand that went where it shouldn't have, and, you know, whipping it out and have a look at this. But my sister and I, my middle sister, who thinks she is a he, we both thought that my mum, you know, the bit in Cagney and Lacey where the guy opens his coat and they're like, oh, well, my mum is the one who was often flashed to, and my mother's Italian American friend was the one who got the guns on the subway. And she's actually got a gun. She married into the mafia. And my mother was tough. My mother had a resilience in her anyway, but I think living in New York, and being exposed to tough, well, living and what she went through, she said, well, life was hard. She told me in the Hydro Hotel, broke down, and my jaw was on the ground. Oh, yeah, I just life has been very peculiar for me. But anyway, so I've got so many strange stories to tell that, because it makes my life more interesting, I think that's why I haven't killed myself, because I've actually got something. I got loads of interesting, and well, other people might not think so, but I do. And you know, I don't want to sound like a big head, but I find this all very fascinating. And, you know, but anyway, so so the custody, this NHS actor is saying to me, how's your mental health? So I realise, you know, I've actually only just remembered this thing of, you know, be careful what you say, because if you say you're suicidal, you know what they'll do with you, and it's curtains for the room that you're trying to hang on to, because they've done everything to me. They've typed up fraudulent section 184s at the council. I've shown them pictures of bed bugs crawling on me. They're doing everything to destroy me, and now they've targeted my reputation, so that, you know, to the point where an elderly lady, where I spoke to Stephen Lloyd office, you know, he's got his 3 mansions. I would want people, if I lived in a mansion, I'd want to know that someone somewhere was complaining and speaking out, you know, about what I was dealing with, because I don't want to live in a society where people are attacking each other in their homes. So, you know, but I was shouted at by someone from the Stephen Lloyd office. And by the way, Councillor Stephen Holt, I will still be emailing you, but I'm just documenting this horrific torture and psyops that they've put me through. So anyway, because you worked for Stephen Lloyd office and they shouted at me and hung up on me before I stabbed myself through the arm with a 6-inch knife in the Strand Hotel, just next door here, when Steve Churchill took my stuff for me. Yeah, right, okay. Honestly, this is after I've been reported missing in the local Herald and dragged in handcuffs through the town. I will take this town. I tell you what, I'm going to leave this world an honest person. You lot, if you want to perish, you will perish, and you will stand before that throne of judgment. Mark my words, under Abba Yahweh. Anyway, what was I saying? I mean, honestly. And to contact my father I haven't seen for 26 years because of the violence. Ever since I was a baby, the violence that I absorbed. And he's saying Sussex Partnership have said, he doesn't know anything. Is this attention seeking? Is this attention? What lies you spread? And who was it who said to that elderly lady, that frail elderly lady with a Zimmer, that the cowboys that own the Congress apartments are trying to exploit her and me? And I said, I'm ringing on behalf of myself and her, and those horrible women one of whom hung up on me at Stephen Lloyd office. I rang back and they wouldn't tell me who it was. You're all the same, all the same. So anyway, I said to this NHS assistant, I said to him, oh, by the way, so you work for the NHS. I said, you do realise I went to the police desk to say that, I said, you do realise I went to the police desk to say that the next time I come here, I will be coming here with a nice lady, a cancer patient who was attacked by a drunk for trying to help me. There's nothing there. And the same, anyway, I said I refused to go. So they brought along the sergeant, the grey-haired sergeant, the same one who was there on the night that I was brought in after being beaten on Beachy Head, thrown to the cell floor and stripped naked. The whole reason why this has all been orchestrated, why I'm there in the first place. He comes out. You know, we're talking about the nicer of the evils here. And this sergeant, by the way, the first time I'd ever seen him before was during that time. The woman that was speaking to him about how awful it was what had happened to me, according to her, Mel, who took photographs of the bruises from what they'd done to me, she told me that over a 30-year period of working in the role that she works in, and I've forgotten what it is, she had put paedophile priests behind bars. So why am I there? Why is this all being orchestrated against an innocent victim of attempted rape? And what they're doing to me, the very people who are supposed to be protecting me, have done the worst trauma to me than anyone that I will never get over. I mean, I don't even think about the attempted rape. It's like it's not there. It's not the elephant in the room. It's gone. It's only if I bring it up, like when I'm talking to you now. But what the police have done to me and what the council have done to me will never go away. See, people who use the BS of the New Age Buddhist BS of leave things in the past, they do not know, because they are not living it. They do not understand disassociation and trauma. So the sergeant then says, right, if you don't go, we're going to have to drag you. We'll have to. So him and his police colleague, the dark-haired one, he said to me, do you want another night in a cell? And without thinking, I said, yeah, all right. I mean, I've said to them, I wasn't thinking about what I was saying. Matt Taylor said he's never known anyone to refuse to leave the cell. I said, but this was, I wasn't thinking. I was demanding. I was being strong. I would not stop praying. So they dragged me like that, like a rag doll. I've got long legs all the way to the Serco truck. Whilst they were doing it, I just kept repeating myself about I kept repeating myself, saying, you know, what about this lovely lady and her condition and being at the police desk, and she's a witness, and they weren't listening. Put me in the Serco truck. I said, didn't have any shoes. I didn't want to put my shoes on without my socks. We don't have your socks on us, so you just have. I said, I'm not putting my shoes, my trainers on without my socks. They've lost my socks, just like they've lost my jumper. Just like they've got my lovely canvas trousers that they ruined up on Beachy Head. The button came off. So they still got all these things. But they want me to pay a fine for what they've done to me. 25 years each for each of them, I say. I keep saying, Anyway, so they got me to... I'm actually going to wrap this up because it's already been nearly another hour. The basic, I want to get to the end of this. They got me to Brighton Magistrates Court, and the Brighton Magistrates Custody Suite manager, R. Helmsley. He turned up, and he was. Prior to this, I said to the lady, this is when I started to get angry. One of the drivers, or one of the, whatever she was, in the Serco truck, because you're in a truck, you're in a room the size of a cell, the size of a chair in the Serco truck. And you know what? I need to say, I want to say this. I was 11 years old when I went to an open day at Seaford Police Station about 30 years ago now. No, not quite. Nearly. And in 1993, and they took my fingerprints, and I remember thinking, this is fun. And they took a mugshot. I thought that no one will ever do this to me. I'm such a good girl, and I still am. Never committed a crime. I'm too conscientious. I put others. I'm a people pleaser. I've never committed a crime, so therefore I've never been to prison. And yet I was coerced into having my fingerprints taken with this male who has put paedophile priests behind bars over a 30-year period. Me and my mother, 44 year age gap, we've been touched up as children, and you just, had exposed to. And I just think to myself, you're taking the red pill, but you still got some of the blue pill, and you're like, it's very strange because I've got this 1950s type of programming going on, and yet I've totally taken the red pill. So it's very confusing. Because I'm sort of in between, But yeah, I just wanted to say it's Seaford Police Station. By the way, this is where John Patterson's friend, who was related to, he's got a hit on him, the founder of Crime Stoppers. I've forgotten what his name is, but I'd like to meet him. He was related to the Dauphin, the Marie Antoinette's son, who they said died in a cell, but it wasn't him. It was another little boy. He was rescued. But he's got the hair and DNA sample of the Dauphin that he was related to. So yeah, and forgotten what his name is, but he's got a hit on him. He witnessed a murder at Bohemian Grove Police Station. And speaking of which, they are heavy-handed. They kneel on people's necks. When they threw me down in the cell back in October last year after beating me on Beachy Head, they pushed me down so much hard, it reminded me of when my middle sister, who thinks she's a he, used to push me down and sit on my head, and I couldn't breathe, and I'd be screaming and crying, and that would stop me from breathing. And it brings back the trauma of that, and also the narcissism of it never happened. Oh really? Oh, what? Our elderly grandmother with her ulcerated legs, and he pulled her out of the chair when you were trying to drag me. You deserved it. You see, when this programming business, that's when Sussex Police are doing it, it's part of that. They know that you will have had this from someone else, subconsciously or not. But these young people, as I said, like with the Nazis, they're totally brainwashed. And the Nazis in Germany, the swastika is a cult symbol, and they used to do their practices in Germany in the street. And these young people, this is what these young people are doing, whether they realise it or not. Oh, sir, I was just an order follower. But so anyway, I'm in the Serco truck, and I'm quite angry at this point, and I'm saying behind the glass in the little thing that you put murderers in, I just can't believe that this is happening to me, though, because you know that open day that I was talking about at Seaford Police Station when I was 11, and they made me I did a mug shot and fingerprints for a laugh. And this is what a police cell. Some people think a police cell looks like this, and it looks all cushy and they did it with a stuffed Garfield and a TV and cushy. Other people think a police cell looks like this, and it had straw and a stuffed rat and like something from Tudor times, dark and creepy and very effective. This is actually what a police cell looks like, and it looks like what I've been put in. And I thought, crumbs, I'm never going to end up in one of them. And I have many, many times on these frauds. These satanic frauds. So and then to find myself in a Serco truck that looks like something that you'd put a murderer in, when you put a towel over his head, like a murderer, and they're led out in handcuffs. They're led out in handcuffs because they're so dangerous and they're, this convicted murderer, and they're put in a Serco truck. And that's what the cell was the size of a chair. And the last time they did that, I was in my pajamas, and they did it to me 3 hours after I had reported and recorded a criminal on a tag threatening to beat me senseless in my own home. And the investigating officer turned up 3 hours later. I said, "Oh, you're here for me." No, it was all orchestrated, and he's a nasty piece of work. A lot of people have said to me now how PC Franklin Lester Sr., who patrols the town, he bullies the homeless, he targets people, he lies. Oh yeah, he was meant to be finding me a flat, apparently. Oh yeah, but he turns up with I've got a warrant here, and he shows me his phone. That's not a warrant. A warrant to this day has an embossed red wax seal. Court papers have a wet ink signature. They can't just be any old typed out, printed out crap that they're giving to people, because people are brainwashed. They believe anything now. We tell you this, so you need to believe it, because we're telling you, because we are the ones in power. So and you're like, but does that make it right just because they're telling you this? So anyway, you couldn't make up what I'm about to tell you. You could not make this up. So the lady in the truck, whatever she was, I was telling her how they'd made me in handcuffs, told me that they would throw me to the ground, told me to untie my shoelaces, No, to take my shoes off. How can I if I haven't, with the shoelaces done up? But this was all a fraud and they were all complicit in it. The male driver comes out. He's got a grey moustache, old enough to be my father. And honestly, he says to me, he starts shouting at me. And I was angry, really angry at this point. Obviously, you've got to snap at some point because this is, in effect, it's a kidnapping because it's fraudulent. And after all the abuse, torture, basic human rights taken from me, he's shouting at me, I'm an ex-veteran. I served in Ireland. I've been shot at. I thought, well, that doesn't surprise me. He's saying to me, you had to do something to be here. Well, if he's been shot at, I said, you're an ex-veteran. What have you fought for? What have you fought for? So what? In Ireland, so what? I don't care what he's done. I couldn't care less. I've got funerals to go to. So what? Hey, they've kidnapped me. I'm just doing my job. I don't care. That's what the Nazis said. I said, people's children, people's homes are being stolen. You've got an innocent person in here who's done nothing. And he's done to me several times. And you're kidnapping me. I don't care what their job is. Has he fought for people's freedom? No, because people's freedom and people's human rights are being taken from them, left, right and centre. People's sovereignty. So then they bring out R. Helmsley, the Brighton Magistrates Court custody suite manager. He starts shouting at me because I've said I'm refusing to put my trainers on without my socks. He said, we don't have your socks. You're going to get out of there or we're going to force you. No word of a lie. Because I'm going to demand this footage. He brought out a group of people, individuals, all very young looking, with helmets on, as if I had rioters behind me. It's just me, no one else. Oh, couldn't make this up. They brought me off the truck. The girl, I noticed there was a girl on my left arm, and she looked like she didn't want to be doing this. She was the only person who seemed to have some soul in her eyes. The others are complete psychopaths. Even if they're passive or covert, they're just, But they brought me into the custody suite, and I was talking at this point, like prime ministers and presidents say, repetition for emphasis. I kept repeating that they were all complicit in these crimes, that this was a fraud, that people's children and people's homes are being stolen. Then they pushed my head down and started to lead me. I said, you don't need to do this. And they put me in the cell. And I don't know how many times R. Helmsley was slamming that door. If you've ever had a cell door slammed in your face, it goes through you. And it was all part of the psyops to try and traumatize me further. I was non-stop praying throughout this 24 hours that seemed to go on forever. And I lay there with the paper over my head, because the part of the torture is to have light. This is to stop you from sleeping. This is a form of torture that they use. They use this as part of torture. So you don't, it's sleep deprivation. It's everything that they can use. And they're telling me I'm not being tortured. Well, how is it then that there was a time in the police cell when they asked me, would you like me to dim the lights so you can sleep? But then the last time I was there on this fraud, and Andy Devine, and by the way, the CA, what was his name? CA, whatever his name was, The one who said my partner was just as effing barking as me, and he said I never said that, but then he changed it to I was talking about someone else who was being carted off to the psych unit. Does that make it okay then? Because I would never refer to anyone as effing barking, even if they were insane. The only ones that are effing barking, and I don't even refer to you, Sussex police psychopaths, as effing barking, but you are the ones that I will refer to as effing barking. People are unwell. There's a difference. But you're effing barking if you think in your own world. And this is something that that R. Helmsley kept saying to me, is he was doing this psyops, and in between slamming the door on me and saying, you're not listening to me, you've got your own version of events in your head, it was all to, upset me and traumatize me. And in the end, I realised I couldn't talk to him because he's sick. So I was looking through the glass going, because he was deliberately saying, I'm only going to talk to you unless you talk to me nicely. You imagine being traumatized. You've been kidnapped on a fraud, and you've been put through all this torture, and you've been nothing but, you would be a bit angry, wouldn't you? But you're trying to be civil. You're trying to get the balance right. And you've got someone screaming in your face. What are you going to do? In the end, there's nothing you can say, because it's a psyops. He was trying, as part of it, to get me upset. So he's looking at me through the window like the nutcase that he is. So so you end up like, because at one point he shouted at me that I was going to prison. I don't know at what point, but I was scared enough as it was. I was there when I kept saying through the glass, I kept repeating what Andy Devine said. I never received court papers. I never received a warrant, so there was never a court case. And even if there was a court case, they've perjured themselves in court, but they're not. He's not listening because he's screaming and shouting and as demented as all these other psychopaths. Oh my gosh, I've seen enough of them in Eastbourne as it is. Oh, that ESK manager. They've really done everything they can. That was the first time I'd ever been banned from a shop. After yes, you can have your refund, but the police are issuing me with a ban. What? Sorry, that's customer service. I've been given my refund, but I've been banned from the store now. Hello, Eastbourne Freemasons. All in the club. Yes. So anyway. Oh, you guys are funny. You really are. You really are. You really are a card. Even if you're not in the club, there are enough demented people in this town, I tell you. I know they're everywhere, but talk about seaside funny ones. I do like to be beside the seaside, where the nutcases and the Freemasons and the psychopaths keep torturing certain targeted individuals. Anyway, so oh my gosh, my Heavenly Father really has brought me through from torture to the other end. So, oh gosh, honestly, please, people, pray for everyone. Pray in Abba Yahweh's Kodesh name, because they've gaslit. They've done everything to destroy me. They've tried to not just add my demons and my partner's demons, their demons. The fear and the control, banning my partner from visiting me in the psych unit. My partner was given a caring role we didn't ask for it. His dad thought it was weird. He was banned from visiting me in the psych unit. I was left all alone. Yet only he was allowed in the council on my behalf. Can you work that one out? We've banned your partner from visiting you in the psychiatric unit because he causes you distress, yet they've illegally, forcibly injected me. They've given me the same psyops as Sussex Police, yet only my partner is allowed in the council on my behalf. And they've done all these horrific things to me. Made me street homeless, wouldn't allow me to have access to my stuff, added unsanitary products, stuff like hospital towel and a what looked like a used massive one of those old people's. I worked in an old people's home, incontinence pad that was thrown in with all my stuff because I told them I had a hoarding and clutter acute mental health problem. They put me on severe disability and then say that I'm a benefit fraud. They've done everything to me, everything. 25 years trying to get help with my mental health, trauma since I was a baby, violence, my mother's death to cancer, and they do all of this to me. And my mother said to me before she died, she was proud of me. When I think of all the things my mother did that could have put her in prison, that's why I'm still here. I'm my mother's daughter. She shouted in church against the appraisal of our pervy headmaster. The PTA wanted to get rid of him. That's the Catholic school for you. My mum ridiculing the huntsmen, these psychopaths at the in London at the ban. I should have been with her. That would have really woken me up as a 22-year-old. She thought it would upset me probably to see her get angry. Yeah, well, look at what's happening to me. So anyway, so I'm told to go into the courtroom. I go into the courtroom. No, sorry. First of all, they say, we advise that you see a solicitor, Bryony, but don't, whatever. They just don't like me talking. They just want me to shut up. These psychopaths. Yeah, they don't want to put a mouth mask on me because those mouth masks, by the way, have been proven to do something to your brains because you're breathing in your CO2. You poor sadistic psychopath order followers. You're so brainwashed. Anyway, they bring out this solicitor, and I'm still repeating myself at this point, and I said about the CPS and the police are working together with the courts to steal people's children and people's homes worldwide. And I said to this psychopath, I said to this solicitor, I said, he introduced himself. I said, hello, did you hear what I was just saying? So he went into the little room. I was waiting for my cup of water. R. Helmsley, the psychopath madman, said, are you okay for her to have this water in here with you? I didn't say anything because this is all part of the psyops. And I sat with the solicitor. He gave me his card and his name. And I repeated what Andy Devine said. And I said, are you a member of the Bar Association? I was very polite. I wasn't rude. I just said, I don't want to, I was being firm because I've been kidnapped and I'm terrified. But I was being firm and polite. And he said, well, first of all, he'd said to me, now I'm going to listen to you, but you need to listen to me. And I thought, well, I don't like that. In the same way that I don't like the fact that at Eastbourne Custody Centre, they wouldn't give me the name of the solicitor and the firm she worked for. They just said her name's Jade. And she had already said, we're going round in circles. Even R. Helmsley used that phrase with me while he was screaming and shouting at me and saying, the agencies have helped you. You're not listening. We're we're going around in circles. So he's slamming doors in my face, and I'm going da, 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 da. You just anyway. So this other solicitor. So he pushes his card towards me. He gives me his name, and because I said that I'm not happy to have him as a solicitor, he said, "Are you questioning something about? Are you questioning my qualifications or something?" And our Helmsley was standing outside, so this was all set up. And he said, "No, I'm not dealing with her." And he got up and he walked out. And I thought, right, well, I'm going to have to deal with this on my own. It was all in. Do you know what my partner would say? It's all in the court of heaven. Abi Yahweh. That's why I'm still here now, why I'm not in prison right now as I speak. So I had to go and face our Helmsley shouted at me, "You're going to prison." And you know what he said to me? He said, "Don't shout at the judge like you did the solicitor." Yeah, because I really shouted at the solicitor. This was all, and I realised this even at the time, was it could be a witchcraft spell. I believe it could be possible witchcraft spell to get me so wound up as part of the psyops that I would end up shouting at the judge, and then they'd throw the book at me and say, "Right, you're going into jail." I was told that I was right. You're going up to the courtroom, and I took a deep breath. They took me up there. I was breathing. I faced the judge, and I said, I was absolutely terrified, and I thought, when do I speak? You know, and I told her everything. And I said how I had been for hours on the phone to the local government ombudsman, that I even told her that Caroline Ansell MP perjured herself in emails to me days before. I've been on the phone to the local government ombudsman and a social worker. Then when this hotel decided they didn't want me there, and a guest threatened me, threatened to go in my hotel room and drag my stuff out in front of the manageress, who for whatever reason didn't want me there, probably because I had forwarded my emails to Caroline Ansell to her as well, hoping this. I think she might be a witch, because I'd spent 2 hours with Rika, the manageress of the Citrus Hotel, and she said to me, she did that new age bullshit thing that they've all been doing with me, passively aggressively saying to me at the time, "Do you think maybe you could leave it in the past?" And telling me about her Angels Facebook page, like that's really going to help me, when all I was asking her to do is to put in a little bit of a good word for me to the local MP, because of all. And to be fair, this was a hotel that, after I'd been reported missing in the local Herald, and the police had very kindly taken me back to the psychiatric unit by dragging me in handcuffs and pushing me, that maybe, and that a few months later, the DGH hospital, where my mother was dying of cancer, had sent me there through adult social care with nowhere to go, no home. And that this hotel had said, "Sorry, we don't accept people through adult social care." And the fact that they had already admitted to me that they'd been in the local paper because they'd turned away so many homeless people from Hastings for whatever reason, that she might just put in a little bit of a word for me. But no. Can you leave it in the past? And here's a Facebook page about angels. And so for these reasons, because I'd forwarded my email to her from to Caroline Ansell MP, she decided she didn't want me there, and she was threatening me with the police. The police hung up on me. I was threatened by a guest. I end up on Beachy Head. I end up beaten by them. I end up human trafficked. This is what I was telling the judge. And I had a reference with the local government ombudsman that I was chasing up prior to this incident. And they're saying I'm not really accepting help from agencies. Lies, 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 lies. You will end up in the lake of fire. You will perish if you do not amend your ways and stop breaching people's basic human rights, civil liberties under our sovereignty and the highest sovereign, highest sovereign. So yes, there we go. And the long and short of it was I left. She said something about paying a fine. They can stick that where the sun doesn't shine. £200 fine. They've ruined my canvas trousers. They've 25 years each, malfeasance of office in prison for each and every one of them for what they're doing to us. And I can sue for libel for what they put in the Herald. You can give me back my the canvas trousers that you ruined once you stripped off me, you pulled the button off me, when you threw me against the police car, all of that. I'd been sitting in the Beachy Head pub. The pub had agreed for me they told me to sit down and they will serve me. And I've still got Beachy Head pub. You are complicit and I've still got the menu that you gave me. I sat waiting to be served a cup of tea that I never had, crying for my dead mother. And the Illuminati in Eastbourne that tried to Ella Williams, the care coordinator, who tried to stop me from speaking to the nurses who nursed my dying mother at St Wilfrid's the hospice. The Freemasons control that as well. I was in the psychiatric. This Ella Williams I'd never met before. You've seen Rav the counsellor when your mother died. Dirty, dirty people. Dirty, 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 disgusting, dirty people. Dirty. Anyway, you need help. Each and every one of you, I am praying for you. I am praying in the same way I'm praying for those closest to me. Anyway, so the long and short of it was I left the courtroom. I know the judge, so the people carry body cameras to film the judges. I met a couple on the steps, but I just wanted to finish by saying that R. Helmsley, so we'd gone from shouting at me that I'm going to prison to telling me to F off. But that was at the point when they got me to sign for my possessions and I was clapping and giving them a thumbs up. That's when he told me to F off, probably because he was really hoping that I'd go to prison. I think at the point when he told me to F off was after I'd applauded them and done that, giving the thumbs up. And I said, what happened to the complaint that I wrote? You got me to write about you, saying it will go to the top. What happened to that? Went where the sun doesn't shine, yeah. So they escorted me out F off. So but I was very confused, like very strange feeling. Then they escorted me out. I had black feet, plastic bag. They'd lost my socks, so I'd refused to put my trainers on without my socks. My feet the soles of my feet were black. But if they're not going to treat me well, I will show them up for this. They've lost my jumper before, so there we go. You're going to prison, and F off out of there. I was kidnapped. I was put through torture. I've had everything. They've done everything to me. So yeah, that's what I'm sorry. I've this has taken what, an hour and 25 minutes to say this. I just wanted to make sure that I threw everything in there. I did get cups of water there, and they'd let me use the toilet, thank goodness. But but they were still ignoring me on occasions, like they did in the cell, and they did that to me on a Section 136. It's all part of the programming people. And I do believe that this is MK Ultra, absolutely. So anyway, thank you. And if you please do comment below. I want to know people's opinions on I want to know people's opinion on this thing about solicitors being a member of the bar, because that solicitor that I saw, he said, I'm not a member of the Bar Association, I'm a member of the Law Society. Well, I couldn't care less anyway, because the way they were treating me was all part of the planned, the orchestrated psyops. But the Law Society, well, anyway, we know that the Law Society threatened to close down Edward Ellis's law firm because he was exposing mental health frauds. And then he was put through torture by the Satanists, the powers that be, and been targeted ever since. And they want to disappear people through any means: psych units, suicide, psychological warfare, injections, cancer stuff. I don't even want to talk about cancer. That's the one thing I don't want to talk about. But I won't even take. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't take drugs, and I don't take any kind of medication, any kind of pharmaceuticals. Pharmakos is a Greek word to do with the witchcraft. I think it might be in the Bible, but it's witchcraft, herbal witchcraft. It's to, the words pharmaceuticals. It's to do with, stuff behind it, but it's not good. But they torture, they put animals, there's animal cruelty is involved in these dangerous psychiatric, and I've heard about all, they wanted to give me injections, they wanted to antipsychotics. They make people dribble, they make people's I need something to help my brain. But they wouldn't even give me something to help me. What really makes me angry? Dr. Caro of the Lighthouse Practice, Eastbourne. He's one of the managers, and I've already said this. He's saying, I want to help people with every aspect of their health. And I said to Aggie, the receptionist, my partner doesn't like her. She's rude. Because the next time I spoke to her, she was saying, this is after I was attacked, by the way, we don't have hours and hours and hours to speak. And I wasn't speaking for hours and hours. So where did she get that from? Does she watch my videos? Because she's giving me something to talk about. I was just asking for sleeping pills. Because on the Friday, I asked for, and even this lovely lady who's got cancer, who was attacked for trying to help me, she's disgusted at how the doctors have treated me. But they're not listening because I'm targeted as part of this. He'd said to me, this Dr. Caro told me not to go off on a tangent when he doesn't know what's been happening in my accommodation. So that's why I said to this receptionist, does this mean helping people who've been attacked in their council accommodation as well? Because if he's put that on his website, every area of a person's health, I didn't get out in time to get something to help me sleep. And in the early hours, I'm attacked by this nasty, drunk woman who's attacked me and left blood on and I filmed it, you can see for yourself from the video that the police do nothing. So anyway, there we go. I honestly thought I was going to prison. They'd kidnapped me, tortured me, psyops, everything, physical and mental, and basic human needs not met, basic rights taken, everything. You're going to prison, F off out of there. R. Helmsley, Brighton Magistrates, Custody Suite Manager. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream now. So thank you. And please do comment.